I'd like to begin by reading from Swami Radhananda's book, Living the Practice, and her chapter on the four powers of Divine Mother. Divine Mother is sometimes thought of as a being outside of ourselves or as an image to worship. I'll say that again. Divine Mother is sometimes thought of as a being outside of ourselves or as an image to worship. But she is really the power within us. Her many aspects that are given 108 names in India represent different powers. 4 of her main powers are wisdom, strength, harmony, and perfection. What would it mean to manifest those 4 powers in our lives? I've been reflecting on those 4 powers and thinking about how do I manifest them in my life, and I thought that I would share a little bit with you. I really like the remembrance or the truth that Divine Mother is in each of us. And when I think about wisdom, and when I think about, in reading through the chapter that Swami Radhananda wrote, she talks about open heart and listening to what is. And part of that listening to me is also what I was speaking about at the beginning of satsang, is understanding that we're in that constant cycle of creation, preservation, or maintaining, and letting go or destruction. And that's symbolized with that wreath of cedar and poplar, but also by Kali and Mary as that cycle of destruction and creation. And so it's listening with an open heart of what is happening now at this moment, and how do I step forward into what's happening? How do I speak into what's happening? How do I act into what's happening now? And then strength, recognizing our own gifts, and that we've all been given gifts just in our gifts of our life, but that we've been given our own powers as well and our own opportunities. And so how do we commit to them? How do I commit to them? And so in my reflection, was looking around my house and thinking about how I practice, how I nurture, how I strengthen the qualities that I have within myself, both that I want to nurture, but also the ones that I need to tame or redirect or give focus to. Because Kali, who I often reference and seek guidance from, is a very powerful force. And she's and that force that I recognize in myself, I know that I have to give direction to. Similarly, the creation that I recognize in Mary is also a very powerful force that I have to give direction to and discipline and nurture and bring forward. Those are strengths, but they become strengths through practice. And then harmony, as Swami Radhananda talks about, are the quiet moments. It's the time and space for sacred. And it's that, like we did with the mantra, of bringing an intention, making ourselves receptive, and then practice. That creates the space for something else to happen. Today I was on a walk with some friends and we were snowshoeing, and it was loud. We were in a beautiful forest and our snowshoes were loud against the snow. We were walking silently, but we were making a lot of noise, and at one point we decided to pause. And we paused on a bridge. And when we paused, the 3 of us standing in a line could hear the water running below the snow. And I was both really appreciative of that moment of silence and the moment and that choice that we had taken together to pause. But I was also really grateful for this seemingly endless space that we could hold together of silence. That we could, and this is something I see as a reflection of this community, is that we can hold endless space for silence with each other, which is pretty beautiful. And then the last strength, the last power is perfection. And it's not about getting it perfect. It's about seeing the perfection in every moment. The last couple of weeks, there's been some really big moments in life. And often in these big moments of life, I feel like it's that moment of in a movie when the camera pans out, the music swells up, and suddenly I have perspective over my life and I can see the patterns, I can see where I'm going, I can see myself in a new perspective. And there's a perfection in that. But there's also what I'm reminded of, and through yoga, is that perfection of highlighting and bringing quality to everyday moments, to the ordinary moments. And that our practice, and my practice of constantly reflecting and bringing awareness to, is that opportunity for seeing perfection in everything. She ends the chapter, and I strongly recommend that if you haven't, please read the chapter. She ends it by saying, Divine Mother has many names and forms, and each of us has many qualities to help us with our unique mission. Because Divine Mother is part of us, there's always a guarantee that she'll be there to answer any sincere call. She has given us this life and these powers. How are we going to use them? And in response, as I often do in satsang, because I love his voice so much as well, I'd like to offer a response from Richard Wagamis. Life is sometimes hard. There are challenges, there are difficulties, there is pain. As a younger man, I sought to avoid pain and difficulty and only caused myself more of the same. These days, I choose to face life head on, and I become a comet. I arc across the sky of my life, and the hard times are the friction that shaves off the worn and tired bits. The more I travel head on, the more I'm shaped, and the things that no longer work or are unnecessary drop away. It's a good way to travel. I believe eventually I will wear away all resistance until all that's left of me is light. Namaste.